happens when a king breaks a promise to the Pope. Italy in the 8th century was a chessboard of power ruled by the Lombards in the north, threatened by Byzantines from the east, and spiritually governed by the Pope in Rome. When King Desiderius of the Lombards began threatening papal lands, Rome was in crisis. But the Pope had one final card to play. He called on the Franks. Enter Charlemagne. Young, ambitious, and untested in Italian affairs, Charlemagne faced a choice. Ignore the Pope's plea or intervene and risk war in foreign lands. What made him take the leap? What was truly at stake in this conflict? And how did a decade-long rivalry reshape the fate of Italy? This is not just a story of conquest. It's the tale of how faith, politics, and ambition collided and forged the beginnings of an empire. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Italy splintered into competing powers. One of the strongest was the Lombard Kingdom, a Germanic group that had ruled large parts of the Italian peninsula since the 6th century. But their expansionist hunger didn't stop. By the mid-8th century, King Aistulf was threatening both Ravenna, a key Byzantine stronghold, and Rome, the sacred seat of the Pope. The Pope, who held both religious and territorial power, couldn't match the Lombards militarily. So, in 754, Pope Stephen II crossed the Alps in a historic move-seeking aid from the Franks. Pepin the Short, Charlemagne's father, answered the call. He invaded Italy twice, forced Aistulf to back down, and granted the donation of Pepin, gifting lands to the Pope that would form the Papal States. But peace didn't last. When Aistulf died, power passed to Desiderius, a seasoned warrior with bigger ambitions. He pushed to control more land, clashed with local dukes, and renewed threats against Rome. The uneasy alliance between the Papacy and Lombards collapsed into hostility. Tensions simmered on the Italian frontier. The Pope, once again isolated, would soon send for Pepin's son-a-bold young king named Charlemagne. When Charlemagne rose to the Frankish throne in 768, he shared power with his brother Carloman, but their alliance was shaky. To secure political ties, Charlemagne married Desiderata, daughter of King Desiderius of the Lombards, a shocking move that deeply angered the Pope. The union didn't last. Charlemagne annulled the marriage within a year, humiliating Desiderius and turning the fragile peace into open hostility. In 771, Carloman suddenly died. Charlemagne became sole ruler of the Franks, and Desiderius saw an opening. He offered protection to Carloman's widow and sons, hoping to challenge Charlemagne's rule. At the same time, Desiderius intensified pressure on Pope Adrian I, demanding recognition for his puppet claimants. Adrian refused. Surrounded by threats and fearing for the future of Rome, he sent an urgent appeal to Charlemagne just as his predecessor had done with Pepin. Would Charlemagne uphold his father's legacy? Would he stand by the papacy? The answer came swiftly. Charlemagne rallied his army and prepared for war. He wasn't just defending papal land, she was about to make his mark on Italy. This was no longer diplomacy. It was personal, it was political, and it was sacred. Charlemagne was going to war for God, for power, and for vengeance. In the winter of 773, Charlemagne launched his bold invasion. Leading a massive Frankish army, he crossed the treacherous Alps, braving snow-covered mountain passes and harsh winter winds to strike deep into Lombard territory. His target, Pavia, the well-defended capital of the Lombard Kingdom. King Desiderius had fortified the city, confident that its strong walls could withstand any siege. But Charlemagne wasn't deterred. He encircled Pavia, cutting off supplies and isolating it from reinforcements. At the same time, he dispatched a separate force to Verona, where Desiderius's son, Adalgis, had fled with Carloman's widow and children. Verona fell swiftly. The potential claimants were captured, eliminating Desiderius's political leverage. Back at Pavia, the siege wore on. Charlemagne remained patient, his resolve unshaken. After months of starvation and tension, the city finally surrendered in 774. Desiderius was captured and sent into exile in a monastery. With his rival defeated, Charlemagne placed the Lombard crown on his own head and declared himself King of the Lombards. It was a stunning moment. Never before had a Germanic king ruled both the Franks and Lombards. Charlemagne didn't just win a war, He redrew the map of Italy and expanded the future of Europe. Charlemagne's victory reshaped Italy and Europe. With Desiderius defeated, he became the first non-Italian to rule the Lombards, effectively ending their kingdom after more than 2 centuries. The Lombard nobility submitted, and their lands were absorbed into the expanding Carolingian Empire. But this wasn't just a military victory. Charlemagne's conquest transformed his relationship with the Papacy. By protecting Pope Adrian I and enforcing the donation of Pepin, he secured lasting favor from Rome. This alliance between crown and church would prove critical in the decades ahead. Charlemagne didn't impose harsh rule on Italy. Instead, he confirmed many Lombard laws and integrated local leaders into his administration, stabilizing the region. He respected the complex Italian political landscape while making it clear who now held power. Most importantly, this campaign planted the seeds for something greater. In the year 800, Charlemagne would be crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III, reviving the idea of a Western Roman Empire, what we now call the Holy Roman Empire. The Lombard Wars weren't just about land, they were about legitimacy, legacy, and faith. Charlemagne had forged an empire with sword, diplomacy, and divine approval. Charlemagne's campaign in Italy wasn't just another war, it was a defining chapter in European history. From a fractured alliance with the Lombards to the dramatic siege of Pavia, he didn't just defeat a kingdom, he absorbed it, reshaped it, and redefined the balance of power. For the Pope, it meant survival and a powerful protector. For Charlemagne, it meant legitimacy and a stepping stone to becoming emperor. The Lombard Wars set the stage for the Holy Roman Empire, altering the political and religious landscape of Europe for centuries to come. What began as a desperate plea from a threatened pope ended with one man holding 2 crowns and the destiny of an empire in his hands. If you enjoyed this deep dive into medieval history, hit that like button and subscribe for more epic stories from the past.